Camera's rolling. Insert host.
Insert host. Mortlach. You ever heard of it? We're gonna review it. It's been distilled 2.81 times. Watch the video to find out. Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Brolic Whiskey. The simple reviews for the average person. No need to be a sommelier to understand our reviews. I'm Metahuman Dave.
I'm not Metahuman Dave.
He's Mike. Today, we are reviewing Mortlach Rare Old. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey from Speyside. So, they're actually in Dufftown, Speyside. For people who actually drink whiskey, they might think of Speyside and immediately think, oh, it's probably more on the sweeter side. Well, not exactly. This goes against what you would normally think of when you hear Speyside whiskeys. Dave Broom has actually called this the Beast of Dufftown. I've heard some interesting tasting notes such as meaty, muscular. Not exactly sure what they mean, but I guess crack that seal, let us find out. So this was actually a purchase from Mike.
I'm interested.
Mike picked this up at a Costco in Costa Mesa. Anyone who knows California Costco's knows that means he got it at a phenomenal price. Ordinarily, you might find this at liquor stores for around 125 bucks or so.
He didn't pay that.
He didn't pay that.
No.
If I recall right, it was about 40.
I want to say it was.
Somewhere around 40 bucks is what I believe he told me he paid. What? Like I said, it is a single malt Scotch from Speyside, Dufftown to be exact. So, if you're tuning in for the first time, well, welcome to our channel. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our new episodes. Hit the bell button so you're notified of new videos. The way that we do our whiskey reviews is first, we always drink it neat. We give a score of 1 to 10 on how we enjoy the whiskey. Then we'll add a couple of drops of water. See if it opens up any of the flavor notes or does it just ruin it. We'll let you know. The third and final way that we sample our whiskeys is on rocks, or how it's on ice. People call it rocks. And we'll see if that changes up the flavor notes and also give you a 1 through 10 score on that as well. So Mike, neat? Did you get any tasting nosing notes out of it yet?
I got a little jumpy and took some whiffs of it. It has a very enjoyable smell. It's sweet. I get some caramels. From
what I gathered from, I don't like to do deep research into whiskeys that I don't know about, but just get a little bit of hints. I was a little nervous. I heard that it was very harsh and rough, but I'm with you.
This is not harsh and rough at all.
It kind of smells like it's going to be a little sweet.
It's a pleasant smell. Yeah, there's a bite. I'm still getting the sweet. I'm still getting a little bit of caramel or honey. There's a bit of a burn on the back end.
Little bit of smoke.
Yeah, very, very little smoke.
Man, look at that viscosity on that though. Like that is an oily.
It's got great body though.
Oily whiskey. Like it clings to the glass.
It does.
I am getting sweet on the nose.
Yeah.
On the palate.
I get some sweet in the palate. I get a little caramel honey.
It's a little sweet. I do get a little bit of almost like that tannin feeling that you would get with a wine where it kind of dries the tongue out just a little bit. Yeah. I guess from what I've seen, sweet and dry is a common theme. Yeah. No, so we do get a little sweet.
This is by no means undrinkable. You know, representing us beginners, I would probably steer away from this one. Work with something a little bit easier to enjoy. This isn't harsh. If you had this, you can drink this and make it through the night. It won't kill you. It's not a struggle. It's smooth. It's clean. Like you said, the viscosity was a little bit thicker. And you do feel that when you drink it. It doesn't feel just like a liquid. It feels like there's something else there. So it's a little bit of a thicker, creamier texture to it. It still has that, to me, that caramel honey flavor to it, which is probably what saves it for me.
this is probably the first time I've ever went into a whiskey not knowing what to expect and was actually nervous about what I've seen. I'm not as scared of this whiskey as I thought I should have been. I would not put it on my top 10 list by any means, but like Mike said, it's not undrinkable.
No, not at all.
It's not an undrinkable whiskey. So Mike did say it might not be best for a beginner, and I would agree with that, but if your Costco has it for $40,
oh yes, yes,
I'd say grab it now because it is definitely worth the $40.
it is.
Would I ever buy a second bottle of it, or would I buy it at $125? That's where things change a little bit. If we're judging the taste by the price as well, this is not a $125 whiskey to me.
Not for myself.
$45, $50. I might do it. You know, it depends on what else is on the shelves.
Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't actively go out and buy it, is what I'm getting at. But it's not undrinkable.
Maybe in Dufftown, Scotland, it might be $120.
They are the beast of Dufftown. Yeah. So, Mike, while I put a couple of drops of water into our whiskey, what's your score for this whiskey while neat?
I'm going to say a 5. Again, not for beginners, but not enjoyable. It's right there at the mid-range where, if you had to, you can drink it, and it's not gonna ruin your night.
Fair. That's a fair assumption. I'm pretty close to where Mike's at. I did mention I was a little bit afraid that this was going to be a very harsh whiskey that I wasn't going to enjoy. But it's not as bad as I expected. I'm going to give it a 6.
It's got a beautiful color.
It really does. I don't know if it's natural coloring or if they added some coloring to it. I didn't get that deep into it. Mortlach is a hard company to research. If you look them up, there's not a whole lot of info on them. So I will give you a little bit of history on it, especially Mike. I know you love hearing about the history of things.
Bring me history.
I don't have much on the history side of things, other than it is owned by, the Cuvée. Is that the right pronunciation? The Cuvée family. So they pride themselves on distilling 2.81 times. Yeah.
That you're going to have to explain.
They don't distill it twice. They don't distill it 3 times. They somehow distill it between those numbers. 2.81 is what the bottle says. So I'll give you what I've gathered. You make your own assumptions on how it happens. But basically they have 6 stills in their still house. Now in most places they have all the same size and shape stills. At Mortlach, that's not how they do their thing. They have different shapes, different sizes to each of their stills. So it's almost as if they had 3 separate distilleries all under one wheelhouse.
Okay.
So here's where it gets above my understanding for it.
Okay.
But they distill it in the one still pot, and they take the heads and tails. They put one part into one wash still and one into the other still.
So heads over here, tails over here.
It starts to get a little like, which way did he go, George? So parts of the whiskey gets distilled twice, other little pieces get distilled 3 times, and if you do the algebra and the mathematical part of it, somehow it comes to this magical equation of it was distilled 2.81 times, because not everything was distilled all equally. They take a little part here, that goes into this pot, then they mix it together, then it gets mixed into this pot, and it kind of gets a little bit above my understanding. But they call it 2.81 distilled. What does it do for the taste?
It says it on the bottle.
Who knows?
Don't have to memorize it. It says it on the bottle.
Yep. So we did add 3 drops of water. On the nose, for me it opened up a little more of the oiliness on the nose. Little oily, little dusty.
I got a lot more alcohol smell. You know, that rubbing alcohol smell. But I'm still getting some of that sweet. I'm still getting some sweet in there.
get an immediate, just a quick burst of sweet, but it dies off quickly. A little hint of alcohol burn that also ends quickly with just a little bit of smoke. Not a whole lot, but a little smoke on the tail end.
Yeah, I'm getting drowned out by the alcohol.
Right off the bat, I'm saying I don't like it with the water.
That's not working for me as well.
It's not opening up the palate. Some whiskeys, it works. Other whiskeys, it doesn't. This one, for me, already right off the bat, tastes way better neat than it did with a few drops of water. Mike, I always let you score first. What do you got?
Well, for me, it took out a lot of the complexity of the whiskey. It reduced it to the alcohol burn, that rubbing alcohol flavor. So I'm gonna drop this one down. I'm gonna take it down to a 2. It just wasn't enjoyable. It's definitely not a beginner's whiskey.
Obviously, taste is subjective. So while he picks up notes of alcohol or rubbing alcohol, I'm not getting those flavor notes or even nosing notes. But I do agree with him completely. It mellows it out to the point that, for me at least, it's not an enjoyable whiskey with the water. I'm not as harsh with my scoring. I will give it a 3.
Okay.
It's not great. I guess there's only one thing left to do.
Yeah, let's move on.
We'll find out. Does ice do this one justice? We know water didn't, but does cooling it down do anything for this?
It took us almost all the aroma away. Very, very little aroma, but you get a weird pear-like smell to it.
It's funny. I'm getting pipe tobacco.
Really? Okay. No, I'm still getting that weird pear-like smell to it. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of a tobacco. Yeah. Very faint hint.
Wow.
That changed it completely.
That is weird.
Completely.
My nose picks up tobacco. Once I took a sip, I immediately got hit with sweet. For me, it was just, it was fruit.
The alcohol, that burning sensation from the alcohol is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. You're right, there is that touch of sweet in the beginning. But it is completely mellowed. Completely mellowed. Almost too mellow. I'm gonna say this is almost too mellow.
I almost like it better on ice. This is a first for me.
I would absolutely take this over ice versus a few drops. But by far, neat is the way to go for me on this one. I just think with the water drops and the ice, it just reduced it too much. It took a lot of the complexity out.
Here's what's odd. I liked it. It was okay on just straight up neat. Did not like it on ice. I mean on when we added water. But I think it tastes pretty decent again once we ice it. But totally different spectrums.
Gotcha.
It doesn't even taste like it's the same whiskey, neat versus ice. It's like its own thing. I'd still give this a 6, but on different tasting profiles. So I guess it would depend on what I'm in the mood for. This, for some reason, came out a little more sweet once it was iced.
It did. And to be gross, I just burped pineapple. That was strange. That was absolutely strange.
Yeah, I guess I'm hinting on some citrus. I wouldn't go as far as tasting, but a hint.
That's what came to mind. I would say neat. And then ice, if it's a little too rough for you, stay away from the drops.
Yeah, it definitely mellows it out, for sure. So if you're not a big fan of harsh whiskey, then I would say go straight to the ice. Right. Mike, you didn't give a score on the ice, so what would you give it?
Ice-wise, I'd probably bring it right back up to that 5 I originally gave it to. I think it was equivalent in terms of enjoyment both ways, from neat to with ice.
So we agree there.
Again, you can drink it. I wouldn't suggest it for the beginner, but you can drink it through the evening. Just keep it clean or add some ice.
Ice, I think, is going to be the best way for a beginner.
Absolutely.
That's what I'll say. Is it probably is more enjoyable for a beginner on ice. If you like your stuff a little more on the smokier and richer side, then go neat.
Time's up.